Nelson,
Good gravy.
a radio host.
Found myself 2 million short of a millionaire.
Barely understandable.
Gee, Monetti.
We can rebuild him.
Guy's bright as a napkin.
We have the technology.
You gotta work with design, vision, and focus.
Better than he was before.
It's not lonely in my head.
Funnier,
I'm staring at a bowl of spaghetti trying to figure out which two ends come together.
more informative.
Characters defined by what you do once you screw up, not if you make mistakes along the way.
And just as sarcastic.
You sausage.
Oh, come on!
Give us 60 minutes and we'll give you Nelson Radio every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on KTLK AM 1150. With 29 years in the mortgage business and an array of top-level guests visiting the show, Nelson is in a unique position to bring you cutting-edge information on real estate, business, finance, and law. If you have any questions for Nelson or any of his guests, give him a call at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Or check him out online at nelsonradio.com.
Nelson Radio.
Welcome to Nelson Radio, heard on KTLK AM 1150. Awesome to be back together with law veteran Mike Fell. How do you like that, law veteran?
I love that.
I'm billing you as the legal version of a franchise player.
Well, that's good because I'm billing you by the hour.
Yeah, I know it. All these guys sat up when you said billing you. So welcome back in studio. Today's show is going to be all about rebuilding and overcoming obstacles, and we have some great things teed up.
We do. It's going to be a good show. We got a lot of interesting guests to interview and to talk to, and there's going to be some good information.
And encouragement, something that we all need coming out of the Great Recession, and something to get excited for again.
You hear the excitement in the background. That might sound like jets, but it's actually applause.
And here's what's going on. We're actually broadcasting from Lion Air Museum down in Orange County at the west side of John Wayne Airport. And our attendees today are from the legal community, bankruptcy attorneys, and we're going to be diving deep with the bankruptcy issue. But let me tell you about our show this week. Of course, we're going to open with our street noise and take a look at a couple of things that are going on in the marketplace. And then we move to the guru, your favorite, Phil Immel.
Oh, he is my favorite, and he is the guru. That's not the time to turn off the radio.
Exactly. Prudential California Realty, soon to be Berkshire Hathaway. I don't know when the crossover is, but they're going to become Berkshire Hathaway.
And he's getting married in 2 weeks. And so what's your new name going to be, Phil?
Mrs. Immel.
Exactly.
Mrs. Immel, exactly. And then the founder and CEO of Real Estate Radio Network, Ron Quintero, is going to be discussing the volume of BKs and their aftermath from this recession. And then, of course, we've got a great interview set up with an iconic person, Billie Jean King.
I'm so excited. This is the only reason I'm even listening to the show this week.
The only reason you're listening to me, that's right. Hall of Fame athlete and one of the champions of social change, Billie Jean King.
So much more than tennis.
And
she's going to be wonderful.
Following that, OC Metro's editor, Susan Belknap, and we're going to look at locally 20 women that are coming up and making difference in the economy, in the social environment. They're surging to the top with their efforts, so that'll be fun to unpack. And then, of course, we move to the stump. Stump the expert. We'll take some listener questions and finish out the show with a look at Operation Homefront, which I don't know if I've introduced you to, but Mike, you're going to be excited to hear about that. So let's open up with Street Noise. This segment brought to you by you,
okay,
our legal partner, the law office of Michael L. Fell, one of Orange County's most recognized criminal defense attorneys and an expert on DUIs. And I had a couple of questions here because we're just following up on St. Patrick's Day. Few people were thirsty over St. Patrick's Day. 45 of them in Orange County, unfortunately, were out driving, got arrested, and even a much more staggering statistic, 32% of the fatalities from motor vehicle crashes over the weekend were due to drunk driving.
Well, and that's on a serious note, that's the worst part of the whole thing, because nobody ever intends to kill anybody when they've had too much to drink. They just want to get home. The problem is now, under the law called People versus Watson, those DUIs where someone's killed is actually a second-degree murder. So people who are getting DUIs and hitting people, and those people are dying, those people who have caused that death are looking at 15 to life. So it's a very, very
15
serious...
to life.
15 to life, which means you're not eligible for parole if you even get it until after 15 years.
What about the people that are being arrested? Are these repeat offenders by percentage, the majority? People that just have a chronic problem with drinking, or are these just holiday revelers that are out having a good time and it gets away from them?
Well, and Nelson, I think the good news to that is, no, most of the DUIs that we're seeing are the first-time DUIers. They're the people that they get the DUI, and for the most part, there is no discrimination with DUIs. I don't care if you're someone that drinks a 12-pack every night or someone who drinks once a year. Everybody's susceptible to DUIs, and most of the time what I'm seeing is the people are responsible after they get their DUI. They understand what they've done. There's great educational process that's required by the courts. Most of the time we do not see those repeat offenders.
So on the conviction side of the fence, convictions are up 100% year over year.
Well, they don't hire me. That's the problem.
Is that from tougher laws,
No.
or tongue-in-cheek? Is that from worse representation?
No, and again, we use some levity here, and also there's some serious things. But I will tell you, as far as the DUIs, the police are trained better. The instruments to measure the blood alcohol is gotten much, much better. They now have devices where they can test you right at the scene, which are extremely accurate, where in the past, not only were they not admissible, but they weren't accurate. And we just have a lot more recognition in the laws and whatnot of harsher sentences, more reliable equipment, better trained officers, and yeah, you're seeing the conviction rates very, very high.
You're listening to Nelson Radio on KTLK AM 1150. I'm with my special guest host, Mike Fell, from the law office of Michael L. Fell, and we're just taking a deeper look at the DUI situation coming off of St. Patrick's Day. Let me ask you this. Give us a reality timeline. Somebody that gets pulled over, gets arrested, what's the actual, from conviction, the recovery, both financially and just getting their license back?
Well, what you're looking at is a series of things. Of course, right after the arrest, you will be in jail for probably anywhere between 8 and 15 hours. Once you're released, then you're going to start going through the process of the DMV hearing, and then going through court, going through the license suspension, going through the license restriction, going through your insurance rates going sky high. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. And the light at the end of the tunnel is this. Once you've completed everything, once you've completed the 6 months of one month of suspension and 5 months of restriction, most of the time you're getting your license back, which is good. Then you're on probation for another 2.5 years. It's not probation where you have to see a probation officer, but it's informal probation. So basically obeying all the laws. And the nice part is that most people don't realize, Nelson, is that at the end of those 3 years when you're off probation, you actually can petition the court to have your case dismissed. So that light at the end of the tunnel is after those 3 years are up, your DUI can be dismissed. Now, it'll still be a prior for up to 10 years for being a prior DUI should you get another one, but it will be erased, if you will, or people like to use the word expunged or dismissed from your record, which is nice.
3-year timeline, and now DUIs, they estimate, are costing $15,000?
Oh, yeah. Between your attorney fees, the time you're taking off work, all the fines you're going to pay, the DUI classes. Yeah, put it this way, Nelson, it's a lot cheaper to take that cab.
Makes sense. Street Noise brought to you by our legal partner, the Law Office of Michael Fell, one of Orange County's most recognized criminal defense and victims' rights attorneys. You can get a hold of Mike. Text the word OCDUI to 313131 or give us a call direct at Nelson Radio at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. Rebuilding and Overcoming. We're coming back with Billie Jean King and our expert contributor and special guest, Phil Immel, the guru, finding out what homeowners, not investors, are starting to return to the market. We'll be right back.
Don't miss it.
Everyone loves a good mystery, but that's hardly the case when you're in a real estate transaction. With Title365.com, the mystery behind title insurance and escrow services has been kicked to the curb. You gain instant access to status and downloadable documents. Want customized real-time order information and documents as they happen 24/7, 365? No problem. And for the first time, Title365 is bringing together leading professionals working on your real estate transaction, so the process is even more transparent and efficient thanks to up-to-the-minute communication. You can even retrieve contact information for leading professionals offering real estate and home-related services right in your own community and learn more about title insurance all in one convenient place. Be sure to ask your local realtor, lender, or escrow officer about Title365 or visit Title365.com. Mystery solved.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com. DOI license 0235301.
You're listening to Nelson Radio. I'm excited to be with our special guest host, Mike Fell from the law office of Michael L. Fell. This segment presented by our show sponsor, Lion Air Museum at John Wayne Airport, paying tribute to the aviators of World War II through the Korean War. To find out more about Lion Air Museum or Nelson Radio or the law office of Michael Fell, give us a shout. 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or click on nelsonradio.com. Mike, I'm excited because every time we have the guru on radio, you get excited. You just
are you kidding me? And today we're surrounded by about a dozen planes. This is so cool. I don't know how to fly one, but I think after the show I may just hop in the cockpit and give it a whirl.
So these are vintage planes from World War II. We've got the Fuddy Duddy, one of the B-17 bombers that's still intact. There are only 10 of them left in the world right now that are flying. All the planes here are routinely exercised. They all fly. I haven't been in any of them, but it's still on my dream sheet. So
you can hop in with me. I'll take you on a.
Yeah, I'm certain you would.
But
That'll
the cool
be a one-way
thing here,
trip.
too, you know what? I tell you something. If you've got kids, bring them down to the Air Museum, because this is it's really awe-inspiring to see all these neat things that your kids probably read about in their elementary schools.
Exactly. So. Lion Air Museum at John Wayne Airport. So we've got Phil Immel, the guru, Prudential California Realty, soon to be Berkshire Hathaway. How you doing, Phil?
I'm doing great.
So I wanted to ask you, you've been in business now over 3 decades. I hate to call you out, but it's been, 35 years?
Almost 39. So
39 years. So you've seen half a dozen defined economic cycles throughout your career. And I just wanted to ask you a question about that. Obviously, there's been highs and lows for anyone in business for that length of time, including myself coming up on 3 decades. And I'm curious, do you see, as we come out of the Great Recession, the same trend lines in terms of our recovery, or is this new territory?
Well, what I've seen over the years, and by the way, some of them now call me a real estate dinosaur, right? I tell them to speak up so I can hear them better. But no.
Well, you've actually seen some of these planes fly, didn't you?
Those were my taxi cabs in the day. In any event, what I've seen, Rob, is over the years that every upcycle and downcycle. I started in 1975, got licensed at 19 years old, majored in real estate. So what I've seen is a lot in these decades. And every cycle, up and down, is fairly predictable somewhat, but at the same time, each down cycle has a different set of variables, and every up cycle has a different set of variables. And I was talking to one of my partners yesterday that they said, have you ever seen a recovery in real estate like we're seeing this year? And I said, I've seen recoveries probably 3 times, but the dynamics are so different. Today, interest rates are around 3.5%, 3.7%. In 1981, interest rates for FHA VA were 16.5%, and conforming loans were 18.5%.
Right.
So if you just think about the range of just interest rates and buyer affordability and those variables, it's dynamic change. So there's a lot of interesting parts moving.
Hey, Phil, there's this word we hear out there called a boomerang buyer. And so tell me about what that is. What's the boomerang buyer? And in your line of work where you're selling the luxury homes, do you see it prevalent in that boomerang buyer group?
Right. I think Ron probably has a tremendous amount of, Ron Quintero, our next speaker here, has got a lot of experience in this. In fact, we used to be next door neighbors, as a matter of fact, in Nelligale in the day. And but what I'm seeing today is not so much at the luxury end of the buyer for the boomerang buyer, but a lot of people who did short sales, might have gone through bankruptcy and things like that. You know, let's remember this recession is pretty much going 6 to 7 years ago. And if you've had dings on your credit between Fannie, Freddie, FHA, and other forms of lending, and you've healed from those wounds, you probably are able to go out and buy in a boomerang situation because now they've got new jobs again, perhaps, better cash flow, less debt if they went bankrupt or if they just short sale the house. So I know that's happening probably in the 500,000 range and below a lot more frequently than the luxury market.
It's so interesting, too, because in this recession, it's obviously touched everybody, every asset level, but it's so different than the previous generation. My parents' generation, my dad had one job, never had really economic trouble. There was certainly life moments that ebbed and flowed, but there was not the switching of careers, the finding of new careers, the bankruptcies, the foreclosures, the short sales, all of these heavy concentration of influences. It's a new world.
It really is, yeah.
So you're listening to Nelson Radio. I'm with my guest host, Mike Fell. We have Phil Immel, the guru from Berkshire Hathaway, with us. If you have questions, give us a shout. You can reach us at 888-888-2136. This is our live broadcast from the Lion Air Museum down at John Wayne Airport. It's Lion Air's tribute to the military aviator. 888-888-2136 to find out more, or click on nelsonradio.com. Let me ask you, with motivated sellers, obviously, Mike, values have come up. What are you seeing is what's motivating today's sellers, Phil?
Well, there's a lot of interesting subsets of that. For example, at the end of last year, before the tax rates went up for this year, I saw some extremely wealthy clients that I represented, some of them billionaires, literally, and they just unloaded a beachfront property that was listed at $9.5 million with me, and we had an offer at $6.5 million. First offer, and they didn't even counter it. They just took it because they didn't want to get stuck with all the extra tax. And, they're pushing age of 90 years old. So that kind of situation happened to motivate year-end. We had a lot of sales at year-end that ordinarily we did not.
It sounds like an attorney's world, taking $3 million less just because they don't want the tax issues, huh?
Is that what we're doing now? We're ripping on attorneys, huh? You going to join that boat?
Yeah.
But the other segment I'm seeing, Rob, is that we're seeing a lot of the empty nester syndrome start again in the business, where they've had the big family home. When they get a kid in about sophomore, junior year of high school, their last child, they're ready to move on and get rid of that big house with all the moving parts and kind of downsize, look for a beach house. So seeing a lot of demographic interesting changes happening out there.
Hey, Guru, let's talk about the underwater homes. It says, so I hear, that they are declining nationwide. Tell me how equity, if at all, is restoring itself.
Well, there's this market did a 180 turn in terms of values, not just in
about a year ago, right?
Yeah, less than a year ago. I'd say probably starting in about the fall, maybe late summer, until now. So we're about maybe 6 to 9 months into this. That all of a sudden, all the foreclosures and everything, the spigot shut off for that inventory. We hit a crisis of inventory, meaning listings of homes for sale. And as soon as that inventory shrunk and the banks really slowed that tap down, the demand increased because the interest rates, remember, are around 3.5%, even in some jumbo products, and compared to the 18% I mentioned earlier. So just the affordability factor is good. So a whole rush of buyers came in and said, is this the bottom of interest rates and values? And they started jumping on the bus really quickly. That created a frenzy of activity, which is still very live today. And now today we're getting multiple offers at all price points. If you have a listing that's 500 and below, we just sold 3 of them this past week. We had 10 to 15 multiple offers on these things. People vying for it. They go for overbid. It's just nuts. It's a little scary because of what we've all experienced historically. But again, low interest rates, affordability, really great right now.
Phil Immel from
Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company. Yeah, we're converting in the third quarter this year.
I'm just going to say Prudential California Realty.
Yeah.
Just say from the law office of Michael L. Fell. Could you do that?
There you go. Our guru, our real estate guru, Phil Immel. Thanks for being with us, Phil. This is Nelson Radio. We have got a great segment coming up. We've got the founder and CEO of our real estate radio network talking about the difficulties of bankruptcies and how to come back from them. You can reach us anytime by calling direct at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. And come down to the Lion Air Museum at John Wayne Airport, an incredible tribute to the aviators of World War II. 888-888-2136, or find out more at nelsonradio.com. We'll be right back.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients' money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license number 023501.
Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations and MLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and it's important to understand the swath of damage caused by the mortgage meltdown. Obviously, there was poor lending practices leading into, but now there's poor customer service coming out of. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Envoy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can go down if the market improves. Purchase closings in as little as 2 weeks. Refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. And close-on-time guarantees. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from a mortgage lender. Accountability from your lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert, direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136, 888-888-2136, or on the web at strongcreditrewards.com.
Everyone loves a good mystery, but that's hardly the case when you're in a real estate transaction. With Title365.com, the mystery behind title insurance and escrow services has been kicked to the curb. You gain instant access to status and downloadable documents. Want customized real-time order information and documents as they happen 24/7, 365? No problem. And for the first time, Title365 is bringing together leading professionals working on your real estate transaction, so the process is even more transparent and efficient thanks to up-to-the-minute communication. You can even retrieve contact information for leading professionals offering real estate and home-related services right in your own community and learn more about title insurance all in one convenient place. Be sure to ask your local realtor, lender, or escrow officer about Title365 or visit Title365.com. Mystery solved.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red. The arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce Orange County to the law office of Michael L. Fell. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction and record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Fell direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-585-9055. That's 949-585-9055, or text the letters OCDUI to 313131 for the law office of Michael L. Fell. Welcome back, KTLK. You're listening to Nelson Radio on KTLK AM 1150. We're on Saturdays from 2 to 3. This Sunday is going to be our broadcast from 12 to 1, I believe. I'm going to have to check on that.
Why don't you just look at your watch?
Yeah, I need to find out, huh? So we have a really incredible segment coming up. We have the founder and CEO of the Real Estate Radio Network, Ron Quintero, and he has a rich history in bringing current and relevant news to the marketplace, really guiding the real estate market back and getting it on sound foundation and helping coach the homeowner and the home buyer out of this recession.
So, Rob, let me ask you something, because we're sitting, for the viewers, we're sitting at 2 desks, you and I at one, and Phil and Ron at the other. But I want to ask you, is that in fact Ron sitting at the end?
It is.
I thought it was Martin Scorsese.
Yeah. This segment brought to you by Best Chauffeured, worry-free and on-time limousine transportation services worldwide. If you need a limo, text the word limo to 313131. If you've got comments, you've got questions, give us a shout. You can reach Mike and I at 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. So, Ron, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, rebuilding the real estate market, and also I want to point out to our listeners, the author of Bankruptcy to Prosperity, Defeating Your Debt and Making a Comeback. Tell us about the challenges of bankruptcy.
You know, my sister's a great example. I think you just described her. She filed BK back in 2008 after getting a divorce. Just the wheels came off her whole life. And about 5 months ago, she rebuilt her credit over the 4 years, and she just bought her forever home. It's the home that she's going to become an empty nester. She downsized. She said, well, I'm 52 years old, and this is going to be my last home. And so when you're talking about people emptying out and downsizing, that's her. And so she built back her wealth. You know, she's built back her credit. She had a great job going into it, just a lot of bad circumstances. You know, when people hear the word bankruptcy, there's all this negative connotation associated with it. And people don't realize that over half of the bankruptcies that happen because of illness, medical problems.
Right. Something completely out of their scope of control.
Yeah. Most people think bankruptcy, an abuser of credit, an abuser of trust. And yeah, there's those people out there, but for the most part, no, that's not the situation. You know, you got the 6 Ds: debt, divorce, defaults. It happens. People lose their job, get discharged from their place of employment.
Right.
You know, there's all kinds of negative things that happen out there. Death. It's just part of it. And these things are sometimes out of a person's control. And some people, when they get that little moniker called bankruptcy, they think it's forever. They're forever going to be punished. And it's a temporary situation. It's a setback.
Just a season.
Just a season.
Well, Ron, and that's a great story about your sister. Thank you for sharing it. I think the only thing she'd be upset about is the fact that you said her age on the air.
I'll say her name, too.
You will once.
But hey, let me tell you this, or let me ask you this. With your knowledge of the bankruptcies and how that's going on, and people, again, rehabilitating themselves after the bankruptcies, do you see them on the rise, or do you see bankruptcies going down right now?
Bankruptcies have pulled back in the last couple of years. We were really at our peak at about 2009, 2010, but they're not going away. They've been, if you look at a chart, they've been in this channel. Now we're on the bottom part of the channel, but we're not breaking below that. And so we see bankruptcies basically bouncing along about where they are right now.
Good to know. Good to know.
And you mentioned the D's of bankruptcy: debt, death, discharge of a job, divorce, disability.
And defaults.
And so that's just life getting in the way. I wanted to ask you about that in terms of the moniker of BKs. But let me tell you, this segment brought to you by Best Chauffeured, worry-free and worldwide transportation services. If you need a limo, give us you can text the word limo to 313131. And of course, we want to invite your calls and comments. Give us a shout, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. So the moniker of BK, You mentioned that it does have that negative connotation, and it seems like people obviously aren't proud of having to go through those financial turmoil, but at the same token, is it something that there's comfort in company right now after the recession?
I know we're not on Christian radio, but bankruptcy was founded in the Bible. Deuteronomy 15, you shall be given of their debt every 6 years. And our country was founded on Judeo-Christian belief. So a lot of the laws and a lot of the systems that are in place come from the actual Bible. And so, when you look at this, it's about forgiveness. It's about control, alt, delete, reboot your life financially and get back after it. And the client that's just had the opportunity to have their life cleansed and to get back after it, there's a reason that those rules are there. It's so we can reinvigorate our society by getting people economically re-engaged again and not forever holding their head underwater.
So let me ask you this. You've got somebody that's just declared bankruptcy. They're at a low point in their life.
Yep.
What type of advice do you give them so that they can invigorate, so they can get back in the game, if you will, and they can end up on the other side? What are some things that you've seen, success stories like your sisters you shared, that you've seen, and what advice would you give?
I've been retained by over 40 law firms in the past 7 to 8 years to reorganize their practice. And there's a lot of what I call one-and-done attorneys, meaning that they attract a client, they get one retainer, they provide one service for them, and they're done with the client. And what I've been doing is getting these law firms to realize you need to become a financial counselor. Post-bankruptcy, have a 12-step rebuilding program. Have a coaching program you can put these people on. They need that guidance. A lot of times these people get in trouble because of the lack of advice that they've not received. And if you're going to be their attorney, if they trust you, to say, here's a retainer, please help me with my situation, become their attorney for life. Not just that one event or that one episode, become that counselor in their life.
Yeah, the wise counselor.
Right, your advice is, again, for we attorneys, your advice is, hey, listen, after you file those discharge papers or after you have your 341A hearings or whatever the case may be, don't lose that client for multiple reasons.
Oh, no.
That client could potentially be a great referral, but forget that. Look at the humanitarian aspect. You're bringing them back into a working society.
My sister was very fortunate to come into contact with an attorney that gave her advice post-bankruptcy for rebuilding her credit. And now he's setting up her estate plan. So there's all kinds of services that one attorney was smart enough to see that she's going to rebound. And he had in place a business model to be able to continue to be of advice and counsel for her and continue to receive 3, 4, 5 different retainers from her.
See, I think that's a great idea. I think too often we are just looking at the problem at hand. I'll speak for myself, but maybe the legal community agrees with me. You think of the problem at hand, we solve the problem at hand as the lawyer, and then we let them go on. We say, have a nice life. And I think what you're talking about is so crucial to make sure that their life goes on, in this case, financially, so that they're not in that situation again.
The loneliest career is definitely a bankruptcy attorney. Nobody goes to a party and says, oh, you got to meet my BK attorney.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And then the BK say, and by the way, go to the dentist when you're done with me.
I'm with my guest host, Mike Feld from the law office of Michael L. Feld. This segment presented by Best Chauffeur, worry-free and on-time limousine transportation services. We've been with Ron Quintero from the Real Estate Radio Network and talking about bankruptcies, not only the going in, but counsel on the coming out of and the recovery of. You can reach us direct, 888-888-2136. If you need a limo, simply text the word limo to 313131. And listen up. Coming up in this next segment, we're going to have in the Coach's Corner, Hall of Fame athlete and really a champion of social change, Billie Jean King. Stay with us.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive savings saving your clients money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778 or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license number 0235301.
Everyone loves a good mystery, but that's hardly the case when you're in a real estate transaction. With Title365.com, the mystery behind title insurance and escrow services has been kicked to the curb. You gain instant access to status and downloadable documents. Want customized real-time order information and documents as they happen 24/7, 365? No problem. And for the first time, Title365 is bringing together leading professionals working on your real estate transaction, so the process is even more transparent and efficient thanks to up-to-the-minute communication. You can even retrieve contact information for leading professionals offering real estate and home-related services right in your own community and learn more about title insurance all in one convenient place. Be sure to ask your local realtor, lender, or escrow officer about Title365 or visit Title365.com. Mystery solved.
Nelson is a licensed lender under the California Department of Corporations and MLS 331060.
This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and it's important to understand the swath of damage caused by the mortgage meltdown. Obviously, there was poor lending practices leading into, but now there's poor customer service coming out of. Bottom line, getting a new loan can be like pulling teeth without Novocaine. I've got the solution. Envoy Mortgage and my team are injecting into the industry real performance and real accountability. Here are the facts. Appraisals in less than a week. Rate guarantees that can go down if the market improves. Purchase closings in as little as 2 weeks. Refinance transactions in as little as 30 days. And close-on-time guarantees. Who would have thunk? Guaranteed rates and guaranteed performance from a mortgage lender. Accountability from your lender. Call me, Nelson, an accountable loan expert, direct at 888-888-2136. That's Nelson at 888-888-2136, 888-888-2136, or on the web at strongcreditrewards.com.
The Nelson Show is brought to you by Best Chauffeured. Best Chauffeured offers personal chauffeur services for corporate events, large and small, and all types of people, not just celebrities. So next time you just want to relax and enjoy the ride, please call on Best Chauffeured Worldwide. It's effortless transportation and first-class service every time. Call 866-323-BEST. That's 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com. Mention KTLK's Nelson Show and receive a special discount. 866-323-BEST or online at bestchauffeured.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Nelson Radio, broadcasting from the Lion Air Museum, just on the west side of John Wayne Airport. It's an incredible tribute to World War II and through the Korean War, aviators of that era. They have a number of planes, including the Fuddy-Duddy, a B-17, one of the 10 last remaining flying B-17s in the world, along with B-29s, DC-3s. It's an unbelievable display. And as well, I got to share with you, Mike, they have some of the docents here that have flown in World War II. In fact, I've met two of the docents. For you, that's a museum director.
Thank you. I thought it was a dancer of square, four square or something like that. Yeah.
I've met two docents from this museum that were both World War II pilots, shot down, and obviously surviving prisoners of war.
Wow.
And so they have that kind of storytelling that takes place here. It's unbelievable.
That's neat. That's a neat adventure to take. Like we talked about before, take your kids, your family. Great thing.
So we're moving into Coach's Corner, and I'm very, very excited to introduce our guest for this week's Coach's Corner. This segment brought to you by Title365. Their vision and communication brings real estate finance and purchase transactions status live, right to your iPad, your computer, your iPhone. Listener questions, you can give us a shout, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. And so we have a Hall of Fame athlete. And even more so, there's been very few in any sport that have grown beyond and actually become bigger than their sport. And Billie Jean King is an example of that. Billie, I want to welcome you to the program. Thanks so much for joining us, and we're focusing on rebuilding and overcoming.
How would you today encourage women business leaders to go out there and compete?
Well, I think leadership is leadership, and I think whether it's a male or a female, rebuilding or overcoming or leading, I have about three things I think are real important to success in life, and which relates to business as well, and that's keep learning how to learn. Relationships are everything. I mean, the reason I'm doing this interview with you is because of our relationship, and also be a problem solver. If you can do those three things in your life, you're probably going to do quite well. And also, if you don't make it the first time around, if you fail, I don't call it failure. I call it feedback. Every time we go through an experience in life, it's feedback to learn how maybe to do better the next time.
And Billie, there's hardship in pursuing anything. Share with us, what's inspired you when you hit those rough spots?
Usually, from what people tell me, it's easier once you get going the first time. The second time around is harder, but possible. We've actually gone through that with World Team Tennis in my business. We went for 5 years. The owners didn't get along, and it imploded. And then we started it up again on a very much smaller scale, and we changed the format internally, the business format. We had it so the owners didn't own any of the league, just so they wouldn't argue. So it's very interesting. Doesn't mean we're always looking at new ways to run our league, but I think it's harder the second time around. If you're first in the marketplace, it usually helps. If you can keep going and keep improving your products, I mean, we see it in technology all the time. If you look at Apple, how it just kept moving along and kept improving, you can see where BlackBerries are having more trouble because I don't think they just went fast enough. I think a lot of people love that keyboard part of it, but I would have come out with new phones much faster and also done the touch a lot quicker. Just things that were obvious afterwards, but hindsight's easy.
There's a lot of businesses now that are really trying to rebuild, especially when the economy going bad and things looking down. What's your opinion to owners of businesses on how to rebuild?
Nobody does it alone. I certainly have never done it alone. I think my faith has helped. I think that having friends and family are very important. They come first. You just have to keep things in perspective when you go through the tough times, if you can, and know that this too shall pass. It's not always going to be easy. Life is difficult, but it's also very exciting. It's fun. The friendships that you build through business, at least from what I've experienced, has been so rewarding in so many ways. I mean, but no one ever does anything alone. I've had so much help along the way and other people, but I can imagine a vision though or a concept ahead of time and then try to go do it.
This is Nelson Radio. We're with my special guest host, Mike Fell, and we want to draft off Billie Jean King's coaching with local stories of women pushing through the boundaries in bold ways and innovative ways. Coach's Corner with Billie Jean King, brought to you by Title 365. You can reach us direct at 888-888-2136, or you can text my name, Nelson, to 313131, or jump on the web at nelsonradio.com. I want to welcome Susan Belknap, OC Metro Magazine's editor. And Mike, just this March, the OC Metro Magazine released an article about the 20 women to watch here in Orange County, and they're rising up. They're business leaders, and really from all different disconnected factions. And so, I wanted to ask you, Susan, in terms of common denominator, these women that you've had a chance to spend some time with and learn their story, is there a common thread that you see?
Yes, and hi, thanks for having me. We get multiple nominations across the board when we're trying to narrow down this list, and it is all editorial. We start sometimes with as many as 200 people, and we're always trying to find the ones who are doing something different. They're innovating. They are finding their own way. They are staring down their challenges and not getting completely caught up in sometimes it has been a devastating setback, but they regrouped, started over again, and just completely followed their own path or made their own path and then followed it.
And not following the traditional paths that are out there.
Very often, and especially we have many entrepreneurs.
I want to hear about one of them. One of the in the article that I read. Tell us a little bit about Gigi.
Gigi Ibrahim. She is an Egyptian American. She was born in Cairo, or born in Egypt, I believe, and then she came here when her parents moved here when she was 3. They moved back to Egypt for a time. She came back and she went to high school at Cornelia Connolly in Anaheim. She went to OCC, and then she really felt, as an Egyptian American, she needed to do something to bring light to what's going on with the Egyptian revolution. So she moved back to Egypt and she began covering the unrest in Cairo started back in the spring and summer. She just went there with a phone and her computer and began interviewing. She became like a citizen journalist. And she ended up on the cover of Time magazine this year ago, February. And she's blogging. She is now a full-time journalist for a magazine. And she continues to cover it through Twitter, through Facebook. She's there on the front lines interviewing people and getting the word out on what these revolutionaries are, what they want, what their stories are, and shouting it out to the world.
Yeah,
That's
fabulous,
amazing.
fabulous testimony in terms of somebody that's stepping out of their world and doing something not just incredible, but really extraordinary. Thanks so much for being with us. You can go to OC Metro's website. You can see that article and read that article on the 20 women to watch. And there really are some incredible testimonies. While you're driving, stay with us. Mike Fell and I are going to be moving back to our Stump the Experts.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen. This segment brought to you by Title 365. We're looking at rebuilding and overcoming. There's 3 easy ways to connect. 888-888-2136 or text my name, Nelson, to 313131 or on the web at nelsonradio.com. We'll be right back with the Stump. This is Nelson from Nelson Real Estate Radio, and I want to have a very serious conversation. Let me paint the word picture. The drinks were innocent enough, just relaxing with friends. Really, I felt fine. Then the rearview mirror lights up with the blue and red. The arrest, cuffed, and in jail. Really? Me? All too frequent, we wish in the somehow, someway category for a do-over, a mulligan to make a different decision. Let me introduce Orange County to the law office of Michael L. Fell. Nearly 2 decades serving in the Orange County District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor, now fighting for your rights in criminal defense. Recognized as one of Orange County's top 5 criminal defense attorneys, ready to represent you against his former colleagues. Save the embarrassment, the potential conviction and record, the possible loss of job. Call Mike Fell direct for your legal mulligan, a chance to make it right. 949-585-9055. That's 949-585-9055, or text the letters OCDUI to 313131 for the law office of Michael L. Fell.
Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Unlike agencies that represent one carrier and can only provide one quote, Insurance Incorporated has appointments with the nation's leading insurance carriers, giving you the power of choice. This means more options and savings for you, offering coverage that's both comprehensive and affordable. Their policies for apartments include protection against loss or rents, accusation of wrongful eviction and wrongful entry, vandalism, theft, and slip and fall claims. Show your value as a property manager by being proactive, saving your clients money and protecting their assets. They can even assist your tenants with renter's insurance. And homeowners, they can save you up to 40% on premiums, including often overlooked liability coverage. Insurance Incorporated are the residential and apartment insurance experts. Call 877-428-8778. That's 877-428-8778 and enjoy better coverage at lower cost. That's Insurance Incorporated, 877-428-8778, or log on to insuranceinc.com.
DOI license 023531.
Welcome back, KTLK. You're listening to Nelson Radio. I'm with my guest host, Mike Fell, and we're at the Stump the Experts, brought to you by Actually, My Mortgage Services, providing market-exclusive close-on-time guarantees. Something that our industry absolutely needs right now is accountability out of the lending side. Finally, accountability from your lender. I don't spend enough time talking about my own business, my 3 decades in the mortgage business. I need to do more of it. Give us a shout, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136. We're at Stump the Expert.
Okay, here we go, Rob. I've got the first one for you. I'm going to sound like Phil Immel. I've fallen and I can't get up. Sorry, Phil.
The age-old tagline.
My financial comeback from BK is complete. It's yesterday's news. Income restored, savings restored, but the credit companies still hang the scarlet A around my neck. Nelson, what do I do?
And that's a huge thing. I think that Ron Quintero spoke to that in terms of just the baggage of bankruptcy. And the fact of the matter, there is specific steps to take post-bankruptcy. I look at it in the context of no different than surgery. You have your post-op appointments. You need that counsel in terms of how you're healing, how you're going to progress, how you're going to restore health. And I think that that's one of the key points, especially with the credit sector, because unfortunately it does become that scarlet A. Most people carry that burden of saying, okay, I filed for BK, I'm one of them, and now I've lost everything. That's the most terrible event, and it's not about that. It's creating a timeout, a rebuilding, and a re-entry into the credit world so that you can repurchase a home.
I agree.
All right, so this is a tough question. I want to see how you feel this. Listener said, Mike, your practice defends those charged with DUI. I lost my child to a drunk driver. I'm the victim. What about me?
And unfortunately, like we talked about before, I see that in my practice way too much. Luckily, in 2008, there was a constitutional amendment called Marsy's Law. It's M-A-R-S-Y-S, Marsy's Law. And under Marsy's Law, victims of crime actually have their own Bill of Rights now in the California Constitution. And they can hire an attorney, they can seek a representative, they can request the district attorney to actually go into court and have their voices be heard. So they can represent, and we talked about this on one of the earlier shows where I represented families in what we call the Nick Adenhart crash, the Angels baseball player who was killed. And I represented those families under Marsy's Law, and they have victims' rights. It's not the defendant, it's not the accused who's the only one that has the rights. And so, unfortunately, with a family who has lost a loved one due to DUI or any other event, I would strongly suggest that they look online, they look at Marsy's Law, they look at what all the rights they have as victims of crime. And I'm not talking about just for financial restitution, I'm talking about to have your voice heard in the criminal system on behalf of your family, on behalf of your loved one.
Yeah. Very serious. I'm with guest host Mike Fell. We're in the Stump the Experts presented by My Mortgage Services. Professional mortgage services provided, an exclusive close-on-time guarantee. Give us a call. You can reach us direct, 888-888-2136. That's 888-888-2136, or text my name, Nelson, to 313131. And Mike, as we close out, we have, in shows past, we've been focusing on our sponsor orphanage down in Moshi, Tanzania, and an incredible organization. I shared with our audience today at the Lion Air Museum that they're not only providing food and clothing and pure drinking water and a safe place to be raised, but they're being raised to be now community leaders and difference makers back in their community.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I know that that your son Tate has been on a lot of shows telling us his personal experience, and it's just amazing to see the transformation of some of these kids with the help from not only our listeners, but from others, and just how well they've been doing.
So switching gears here, and you can find out more, of course, on treasuresofafrica.org. You can sponsor children. They're raising $2 million to redevelop their whole orphanage. But I wanted to, as we sit in front of these vintage aircraft at Lion Air Museum, I wanted to bring attention to Operation Homefront. In Operation Homefront, it's an incredible program that's kind of drafting off of the rebuild and recovery kind of category in the context that participating banks that have real estate owned that's sitting vacant, they're now rehabbing these properties, allowing veterans to come in and live in the property. And the deal is this: they're responsible for taxes, insurance, and maintenance for that property for 12 to 18 months. At the end of that period, then that property is deeded over to them free and clear as a thank you gesture for their service in the military.
Wonderful. That's a great program.
It's been a great show. Best of the day, rebuilding and overcoming with life champion Billie Jean King coaching us, topping the list in my book.
That was fantastic, and Susan Belknap. It was sure nice to have her. She brags that she actually beat Billie Jean King in a set of tennis. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was great having her on the show.
Hey, special thanks to you, Mike Fell from the law office of Michael Fell.
Always happy to be here,
representing people on the victims' rights and DUI side of the fence. Thanks for being here. I also wanted to extend a special thanks to the guru, Phil Immel from Berkshire Hathaway, encouraging us as we go through the recovery, the housing recovery. And, of course, our Real Estate Radio Network CEO, Ron Quintero, his commentary on bankruptcy.
That was a great segment for both attorneys and just listeners alike, because he gave us some really good information based upon his history in the bankruptcy world.
And, of course, our producer, the salubrious gentleman in his performance, Phil Giangron.
And doesn't he look good today? Huh? No ratty T-shirt.
I know.
He's got his jacket on. Phil looking good.
Thanks for taking care of us. These are must calls. We're asking you to step up. Give us a shout. 888-888-2136. We want opinion, and we'll deliver opinion right back. We want to better understand as our business, real estate, finance, and law matters are addressed on this show. 888-888-2136. Thanks for listening. You can also text my name, Nelson, to 313131. We've got another terrific show lined up for next week, and we want to extend a special thanks to Lion Air Museum, allowing us to broadcast right from the hangar floor from Lion Air Museum down at John Wayne Airport. We'll be back next week.
Have a great weekend and enjoy the closing music.